Yes, good morning from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and we go across the channel to UK. And my wonderful mentor friend is Dr. Susie Mitchell is with us.
Hello.
Hi. And I hear myself again. I hear myself again. Hold on a sec. I hear myself again.
Technology, eh? It happens sometimes. Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Like this in live. Let me see if now it's better without. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there's echo.
Okay, I will leave the studio. Sorry, people, give me 1 second. I leave the studio and I will be back because there is something with my microphone.
Okay. I can be here and talking to you. So, hope everybody's having an amazing day. Technology, eh? We've all been using it for so many months now. And it's, it's becoming a way of life. It really, really is. But that's okay. That's okay. It's all good. All good. We'll just wait for Catalina to jump back in. And
hello.
Yeah,
sometimes this happens in life. I had it also with Deb Battersby and with somebody else that there is this echo, so I hear myself
Afterwards.
That's better, I think, just then.
So what I will do is I'm going to look at your lips and I'm going to read your lips, and this is how we're going to do it. Okay? Because that's life. So hello, everybody. And Susie, so good to have you. And for those of you that don't know Susie, first of all, I'm very humble and grateful because she's super busy, and she has taken some time to be with me and with you to share her wisdom. And Susie lives in near London in UK and consults with clients all over the world, such as Morgan Stanley. So in banking, she's in all different industry, luxury hotel chains, wealth management companies, very many. And she's a psychoneurologist specialist in professional and personal development field with over 25 years of proven performance behind her. She's a professionally trained coach and master practitioner in NLP, hypnotherapy, and timeline therapy. She regularly consults and writes for newspapers and magazines, speaks on special topics on BBC. She's one of the elite Tony Robbins trainers. Um, She's the co-founder of and Savior Fair Professional Women's Group and a wish volunteer for the Starlight Foundation. In truly understanding people's needs, Susie believes that the best possible outcomes for her clients, and her dedication to her clients is achieved with integrity and results. And she's a student of life for life, like me. So I know that we're gonna be 4 years together. So welcome, Susie. Thank you so much for being with me and with us, of course.
It's a delight and an honor to be here, Catalina, and as you said, to share with as many people as we can our wisdom along our journey, our life's journey.
Yes. So we have a tradition here. We have a centering moment because this is going to be a sacred experience that we're going to co-create. So we center ourselves. So it's about a minute or less. So let's close our eyes and feel that we are supported. We are supported by the chair or by the ground. We are supported. And let's connect to our breath. and know that we have gifts. So let's have this mantra in our mind. I respect and appreciate my gifts. So breathing in, I appreciate. Breathe it out and appreciate my gifts. So let's rock and roll, because gifts. Susie, a dear friend of us and colleague, died last week, and I'm still in lots of sadness about this. And I would like to talk to you about bringing our gifts to the world. It's slightly different than what the main topic was aimed to be, but we'll get there about remote working. But I think it's so important, right?
It is very key, you know. People come through our lives and join us in many journeys, you know, join us at many situations, and, you know, they touch our souls, and the fit happens. We connect, they share their wisdom, we share our wisdom, and we have fun. Wonderful person has touched many, many, many lives in the organization we both work in, but across the globe. And, you know, we have to be very grateful. Even though I know you're sad, I'm sad, but we were both privileged to spend time with him, quality time with him, getting to know him. And he wouldn't want us to be sad. And that's the same with lots of people, what they've gone
Yes.
through the last 2, 3, 4 months. We know there has been many, many people passing on. And we just have to remember the memories in our hearts and be grateful that we met them. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes. So let's talk about bringing our gifts to the world, because I thought that we start the meditation with, first of all, appreciating and respecting our gifts. So knowing our gifts and bringing to the world. Why is this important?
Well, first of all, I think you're right. The first thing you said, we must appreciate and respect our gifts. And I think that comes back to self-worth. So many people in life don't really spend time to reflect on our own self-worth. We've all had a journey. We've all been through the ups and the downs, but every single thing we have learned through the tough life lessons, through the great life lessons, you know, shapes us for who we
Yes.
are today. So we have to appreciate them and take that time. I'm like you, very passionate about this, because we have to value ourselves. We have to realize whatever arena we are working in, whatever arena we're playing in, we have to respect us, our soul, our gifts, and how we lay them out in the world. I think that's very true.
Yes.
It's important.
We still work from home.
We
Many
do.
of us. And many of your clients and my clients are running and managing teams remotely. So there are opportunities and challenges when you run multicultural, different geographies, different functional lines, teams, and especially when you do it working remotely, not meeting with each other. In terms of communication, in terms of collaboration. So let's start with some challenges when we work remotely, and we have different management teams. What do you need to do?
I think you're absolutely right. In the last few months, it's changed the whole landscape of the working
Yes.
environment. And some people are used to working remotely, you know, whether that was at home or in different offices around the globe, and some people weren't. And I think it's caused a lot of confusion to begin with, massive confusion.
Yes.
Your clients, my clients, you know, I was talking to some clients at the beginning and they went, oh my God, they went into panic mode. You know, what are we going to do? We've never managed people from a distance. So that was the
Yes.
first thing they had to understand and get their heads around. And secondly,
Yes.
clients of mine went, you know what? this is actually really good because it's away from the noise and all the distractions in the office environment. So I think, like you said, what are the challenges? I think some of the challenges have been the employees. They are not used to being alone. So one of the biggest challenges I've found is loneliness. You know, people have not been able to go and have a coffee in the office with their colleague, or 5 minutes talk at the photo printer, whatever.
Yes.
So many people have found it lonely, and that adds another layer of anxiety mentally, you know, through our emotions. And it's been a roller coaster for lots of people, even CEOs. I've spoken to some CEOs and they've gone into anxiety mode. And as I say, others haven't. Everybody sees this very differently. But I would say one of the biggest challenges is the loneliness.
So I would like to address this from two perspectives. One, how do you deal with your own clients? We help them with this issue of loneliness. Second, how would you advise your clients, top management, in dealing with their team members that might feel lonely?
Yeah, absolutely. We address it and find out what they can do. We have to put a map in place, a blueprint, if you like, to manage remote teams, because a lot of people are jumping on Microsoft Teams, Zooms. Lots of them not used technology like this before, even though they are very good with technology in
Yes.
their industry. They've never seen their colleagues or their employees through this. So first of all, there has to be a strategy. There has to be a strategy of what the game plan is to help manage the team, whether that's
Yes.
one or 20,000 people. And, you know, one company that I've worked with, an IT company, they've got 350 staff. And in one day, they literally just transferred them all remotely, and they work from home and they do Zooms, you know, like we're on a
Yes.
webinar, Facebook Live. And they've
Yeah.
well, because they are looking at connection. I think the biggest heading I would have if I had 10 steps to remote working would be connection. How are the organization, the leaders of that organization, going to do the best connection with their team, with their colleagues? And that's
Yes.
not down, up, down. It's got to be sideways. You know, another company I work with abroad, they're getting lonely, like I said, the people at home. So allowing them to spend some time in their working day connecting with their equals, their colleagues, you know, just having a chat, you know. And one thing I always suggest to them on a Friday lunchtime, you know, they've done the work predominantly if they're a Monday to Friday business, have some fun, have a Zoom call that's fun, a quiz, you know, have a beer if they allow
Yes.
drink, and if they drink, you know, that kind of thing, because connection is the number one. Would you agree with that, Catalina?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, that's important. And one of my clients, they do even Friday drinks, Friday virtual drinks. This is important to close the week. But you know, many times people feel. Before I say this, I want to salute Mike, hello, and Victoria, and Juana, and Saskia. Good to have you here, and Anaya. Good to have you here. Thank you for being with us. So one of the things is, many people do not recognize, do not share with others they feel lonely because they think they are less than. So I need to have this armor that I'm a strong person, and many people suffer. And I'm not saying that there is a difference between loneliness and alone. You can be in a family and still feel lonely. So what would you advise to those people that keep
Yes.
everything inside?
No, we mustn't keep everything in. And, you know, even for us, you know, we have a lot of resources and tools and
Yeah.
techniques that we've learned over the years. But even us, every single day, pretty much in the last 2 months, I have reached out to a friend on the phone call. So many of us avoid, you know, doing a normal phone call. It's not been
Yes.
normal up until 2 months ago. We are used to technology, sending emails, sending voice notes, sending text, but actually picking up the phone and speaking and hearing the emotions and hearing the true soul connection is what I talk about. And work people can do that. So you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Have things that you're going to do, because even families, we're not just talking about work places now.
Yeah.
Families felt alone because they've had to keep together and they have not had an outlet to release a lot of their tension, a lot of their frustrations, whether they've lost jobs, whether they have fallen out with their partner, because that's happening in lockdown. I've had people that have told me that. So there has to be an outlet. We have to open our heart and soul and take off the mask. You call it the armor. I call it take off the mask and be vulnerable. Vulnerability,
Yes.
as we know, is such a key quality. I mean, Brené Brown, I've done some studying with her. She did one of the best TED Talks of all time, as we know, on vulnerability. Please go and check it out, because it's giving us permission, all of us, to be vulnerable. And I do that with my clients, which I'm sure you do. Be vulnerable in the workplace, before this happened, and show vulnerability now.
So 2 questions. Why is it important to be vulnerable? And 2, there is a difference between throwing everything of your life on people and being vulnerable. So why is it important to be vulnerable at work?
So number one reason is authenticity. I think if people really feel that you may have gone through a challenge, if it's relevant to share that with a colleague or a work leader or whoever, I think authenticity comes through when people put on that face, oh, I'm big and tough and strong. And I think it's even better as an authentic leader to, when it's relevant, to show authenticity by literally saying, you know what, I felt low. I've had anxiety at times with challenges in my personal life, my business life, and maybe give a few examples. So that would be my first one. Authenticity is vulnerability. And your second question was?
And first of all, why is it so difficult for people to admit to be vulnerable? Why is it so difficult for us human beings? Because I have to tell you, Susie, it was also difficult for me, because I have to be strong, and I have, because this is the way to inspire people. Why is it so difficult for us human beings to be vulnerable?
I'll let you into a little secret, Catalina. I felt exactly the same. And I think I'm a little bit older than you, but I think a lot of, when I came up through the business line, and obviously I've run my own business for 20 years, women specifically, I think it was gender specific a few years ago, women could not show their emotions in a workplace because they were going to be weak. I think we've all learned along the journey that actually vulnerability is a strength, because it literally shares your soul with another human being. You connect at a deeper level, and you are absolutely able to break through those challenges quicker, faster, deeper, get better outcomes, get better results. And it's about being real. It's about absolutely being genuine and real. So even when I work with women today, I work with both men and women. It's when they do testimonials for me, which I'm very grateful for, a lot of them say, Susie gave me permission. They give themselves permission, but give myself permission to be myself. And that's been a tradition, I think, of humans through the working industry forever and a day, that, oh, don't show your emotions, don't show your feelings. Wrong. That is gone by the wayside now, I think.
Yeah. And James, hi, good to have you here. Yes. So going back to the second question, you mentioned being real, and let's make a distinction here, because being real doesn't mean to push, to project all your life on the people there. This is not what vulnerability is.
No, not at all. No, because not everybody wants to hear all our ups and downs of life. You only discuss what's relevant at the time, and it's about understanding people. It's about reading body language. It's about meeting them where they're at in that moment in time that you have the privilege to share your experience or your wisdom. That's all it is. You do not, what we call in some expression, vomit all over somebody with all your challenge in life. They've got enough of their own sometimes. I agree.
So I would say, look, I feel sad now, or I feel upset. This is just telling about your personal experience right now. Just not make, oh, it's good, don't hiding away, but also not bring all your life history into the moment. So think about the relevance. Okay, let's talk a little bit about communication. How, when we communicate remotely, there are opportunities and changes about the communication. And there is this, I keep hearing about, oh, introverts and extroverts and this and that and that. Let me tell you something, Susie. According to Myers-Briggs, which I used in the past a lot, I'm an extrovert. And let me tell you that in the past years, because I discover in the past 10 years deeper introversion and contemplation, I love to be by myself and then to go into the introverted part of me. So I think that we are cyclical beings, and this division of introvert and extrovert, it's not very relevant at this moment. So, but that's my opinion. Don't, that's me. So communication between people working remotely and teams working remotely.
Let me just pick up on your introverted and extroverted. I think that was a label. I mean, lots of things have got labels. There's no right or wrong about that. That's just how society chooses to give us distinctions. And that's just how human beings have been labeled. I think it's very easy to talk to an introverted person if we change our tonality, we all know a lot about the different visual, auditory, kinesthetic type of people, different types. You can talk to them and communicate them in their world, even from a leader on a Zoom call and things like that. It's just matching the language and being respectful and giving them time to process. Again, that's a communication style that the leader, whether it's a team manager or a leader, should know how to interact with their colleagues. But introverted and extroverted have their own challenges, extroverts, just as much as introverts do,
Yes.
Again, they feel they have to be extroverted all the time. They don't. And I actually know a lot of introverted people that have practiced a lot of extroverted actions to
behavior.
try. That brings its own challenges. So I think it's just finding the right style of communication that either works for your employees or your friendships or your family connections, because we are all so unique and so different.
Yeah, and technology offers us possibilities now, opportunities to give voice to people that don't want to speak in groups as well. If we go deeper, nobody says that you need to keep the meetings with everybody in the same time. There are rooms. You can break people into rooms if you want to collect ideas and if you want to give people a voice, because many times some people like to express themselves in a one-to-one or in a small group rather than in front of everybody, right? So communication needs to be adapted as well.
It does, but again, people don't know how to do that. They've never had to work remotely.
Yes.
So you and I know that some people suddenly get over 100 people on a Zoom call. Well, that's ridiculous. If you are strategizing, as you said, or brainstorming about a specific part of the business, you cannot get all the input from 100 people. Absolutely break it down to smaller pods. Work with 4 to 6, I would say, is a great number, and give everybody different areas of the business if you're doing it as a big team, but hopefully the right leaders or CEOs are getting advice, whether it's from people like us or things like that, and they're learning to chunk it differently.
Yeah.
People it's very interesting. They found so much about themselves during these getting feedback on.
What about, let's move to effective performance management in a remote setting. So you work a lot with executives. How do they make sure how do they measure performance? And how do they measure and manage performance in a remote setting of their teams?
That's an interesting one. Again, with different clients, we've discussed various different options. Some people have tasks that they go onto a technology task board, Salesforce. There's so many ones out there, and people can see what each colleague's working through for the week. Some people send them a report at the end of the week to tell them what they've done, and obviously their leaders will check if that's been done. Every company that I've worked with, we make sure there's a process, and then we empower. So important that sometimes gets missed, I think, with this remote working is the recognition and the empowering. So the following week, I always nudge my clients to say, have some shout outs to the people that really went above and beyond, outstanding work last week. Some people, it's one company that I work with, a drone company, they have 2 meetings a day and they call it a virtual scrum. They use the rugby. you know, some people call it huddles, but this particular company calls it scrums because they like rugby, and they meet twice a day for the scrums, and they all get in, and they all have a say, and they work in smaller pods, like we said. But at the end of the week, they have the drinks on Friday, like you said, or a quiz. But people, honestly, I am finding the majority of the clients I'm talking to, the results are growing through the roof. Honestly, in the last 2 months, they've exceeded the expectations than when they were working in the office. And one particular client is absolutely going to have no more offices, a bit like Facebook, they said, or Twitter. They can work, you know, remotely. But honestly, the results have been staggeringly on the upward trend.
Yeah.
I've spoken to.
Yeah. So I think that in the end, Susie, and tell me if you have this experience, if you have a high work ethic, in your life, you're gonna have a high ethic when you work remotely.
I think I would say that's 95% true. 5% I found out with another client I was working with, it wasn't. I found out that.
So what happened there?
What happened? They weren't used to being alone. It comes back to that loneliness. Whereas if you're in an office full of people, whether you sit on a pod of 4 or a group, there is always some form of accountability unconsciously, I find, from their colleagues, because they have to be seen to be doing work on a computer. They have to be doing presentations, whatever it is. When you work alone, even though they had a good level of work ethic in the office, it slips because they have distractions. A couple of them were youngsters, they live at home, and the parents did not understand the remote working. A couple of them got sidetracked to social media and music and things like that. So I would say 95%, but it depends on the age demographic. It depends if they've ever worked before.
So what are some of the strategies that you suggested that you work on for this kind of people?
2 of them we put into place was have the remote huddles. I call them huddles. So have a morning and a get together, and then allow them time, this particular company, a time in their day to chat to their colleagues. You know, so put 2 or 3 virtual coffee breaks in their schedule, and they felt happier inside, and their colleagues were getting the connection as well. So that really helped. That 2 clear distinctions
on the thing and at work. And keeping, maybe have a buddy in your office, would that work, to keep each other accountable? Keep each other accountable. So, I mean, we need to become
you and I know buddies are so important. So it was the accountability was just chatting to a colleague, but I like your accountability buddy, because you and I know the biggest, and I'll keep saying biggest challenge working from home is managing our emotions. So yes, you can have a great work ethic, and I know I have, and you have. I get through everything because I make my lists and I get through my day, but it's managing the emotions with whatever challenges during that day throws at us. That's the key. We know that.
So when you talk to your clients, what emotions come most in your discussions? What's happening? What is the main suffering for people?
The beginning was panic, frustration, OMG, a different way of working. So it was like real stress, and I never use that kind of word. The S word, as you know, I wrote an ebook about that. But over time, because business has gone so well, we worked on some tips and breathing, some focus, energy. We know, I call it the energy triangle, the triad that we're used to. You know what we focus on, how we change our physical body, and obviously our language that we're saying in our heads. All those 3 things, I use them as tips to manage those emotions. And obviously that helped them massively, and they're controlling it, and it's just soaring. Focus on growth, focus on results, focus on outcomes. It's no different other than you're working from home. So again, it was just reframing a lot of how they perceived the situation, I would say, help their emotions.
We started our conversation about bringing our gifts to the world. So first, appreciating and respecting. I know you wrote a book years ago, or a couple of years ago, The S Word. And one of the things that I really admire about you was, I think a month ago, you started to, you brought the book to NSA, or can you expand on this? Because I really, speaking about being creative, how can you make the world a better place? So
we're all, within the group we all work in, we all want to do that. It's all for the bigger good. So yes, So 17 years ago, I wrote a book called Sat Nav for the Soul, which is out there on Amazon. And that's a business book more about how you should manage business. Just an easy read. Then 10 years ago, I brought out this ebook called The S Word, because you're absolutely right. I was going into a lot of my clients and I was hearing the language then. There was some financial crisis 10 years ago. It's very interesting. And we've had a crisis now. I was going into organizations and they were using language. Oh, I'm so stressed. Oh, I cannot do this because I feel stressed, and stress. And we all know that if you use that language, you're going to feel that emotion in your body just from one word. So I thought, right, Mitchell's on the case. I'm going to write the S book, because I help them change their language. And literally I put an ebook together about stress then. And because it's been a very stressful time for many, many people in these last 2 or 3 months. And in the UK, we have the National Health Service, the NHS, which you all do. Lots of countries have. But I thought, how can I help a lot of people who are working from home and manage their emotions and give money back? So I relaunched it. I reduced the price in Amazon. It's on Kindle now. I've actually just put it up, but it's still not as expensive as it was. But literally, people can go in and buy it. And every single penny is going to the NHS to help people, because...
Oh, I get goosebumps. I love this kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, we all have, you give back. I mean, I absolutely bow down to you. 10 million bow downs. You've done, I think I'm the 47th or 48th person today. You've given of your time for 48 days and many other times, free of charge, to bring your gifts and adding value to other people's lives. I honor you so much, Catalina, because this is your way of giving back. We all find a way to give back, and that was just mine. And, you know, but I'm giving it right back at you, girl.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'll get it. Yoo-hoo! Thank you. Thank you so much. So I have Sally Coles says, great book, Sat Nav to the Soul. Awesome. Awesome. Yes, Sally. And then there is another message from Anaya from India. I'm sure personal development ensures professional development. Personal development is a lifelong process. It's a way for people to assess their skills and qualities, consider their aims in life, and set goals in order to realize and maximize their potential. Plan to make it relevant, positive, and effective life choices and decisions for your future to enable personal development. Well said. Well said. And he paid attention.
So well done from India. It's amazing that we've got people internationally on your lives here, Catalina. And a shout out to everybody we know on the call. And to Sally, I know, Sally, you give back. I've been watching some of your lives and you're being very inspirational and giving back too. So we all are finding some way. I think it's huge collaboration.
Yes, yes. Beautiful people. So, Susie, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your knowledge and wisdom. I hope you come back in the future. And would you like to finish with a centering exercise, or shall I do it?
Yes, you can do it in a second. I just wanted to say to you, as I say, I honored you. And yes, it's just carry on weaving your magic, girl. It's one of my catchphrases, weaving our magic. But I'm going to say that to everybody who watches this live. I don't know whether you send out the recording. I think you do, Catalina, so more people can send it. Just keep weaving your magic, however that is, and taking your gifts to the world. That's all I want to say. And thank you for having me on. I'm very grateful.
Thank you. See you next time, Susie.
Love you. And you're going to be centering.
So let's close our eyes. On breathing in, I center myself. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I respect and honor my gifts. Breathing out, I serve through my gifts. Thank you. Thank you, Susie. Have a wonderful day. Everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you. See you tomorrow.